Maya Rodriguez never believed in perfect neighborhoods until she moved to Willowbrook Heights. Tree-lined streets, pristine lawns, and neighbors who actually waved when you drove by. After years of cramped apartments and sketchy areas, this felt like a dream. She stood in her driveway watching her 8-year-old son Carlos kick a soccer ball against their garage door. The rhythmic thudding mixed with children's laughter from nearby yards created a symphony of suburban bliss. "Mama, can I ride my bike to the park?" Carlos called out, his face flushed with excitement. "Not yet, Mijo. Let's get to know our neighbors first," Maya replied, adjusting the moving boxes in her arms. That's when she met Jessica Chin, her next-door neighbor. Jessica emerged from her house with a warm smile and a casserole dish, looking like she'd stepped out of a home and garden magazine. "Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Jessica. My husband Ryan and I live right next door with our daughter Lily." Maya immediately felt at ease. Jessica's genuine warmth reminded her of her own sister back in Texas. Within minutes they were chatting like old friends about schools, local restaurants, and the best grocery stores. "Lily's 9, just a year older than Carlos. I'm sure they'll get along great," Jessica said, gesturing toward a girl playing hopscotch in their driveway. Over the following weeks, Maya and Jessica's friendship blossomed. Their children became inseparable, spending afternoons building forts and racing bikes. Ryan, Jessica's husband, worked as an IT consultant and seemed like the perfect family man, always offering to help with yard work or fixing Maya's temperamental sprinkler system. "You're so lucky to have found this place," Jessica said during one of their evening walks. "Some neighborhoods you never really get to know anyone. Here we're all like family." Maya nodded, feeling grateful. As a single mother working double shifts at the regional medical center, having such supportive neighbors felt like a blessing. But Maya's contentment began to crack 3 months later. She was coming home from a late shift when she noticed Carlos seemed different. Usually bursting with energy and stories about his day, he'd become quiet, withdrawn. He barely touched his favorite dinner and went to bed without asking for his usual bedtime story. "Hey buddy, everything okay?" Maya asked, sitting on the edge of his bed. Carlos fidgeted with his blanket. "I'm fine, Mama. You know you can tell me anything, right? No matter what." He nodded but remained silent, his eyes avoiding hers. The behavior continued for weeks. Carlos stopped wanting to play outside, made excuses to avoid going to Lily's house, and even asked if they could move back to their old apartment. Maya's nursing background had taught her to trust her instincts when something felt wrong. And everything about this felt wrong. She started paying closer attention. Carlos would tense up whenever Ryan's name was mentioned. He'd find reasons to stay inside when Ryan was working in his yard. Most troubling, he'd started having nightmares, waking up crying but refusing to explain what they were about. Maya's breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. She'd taken an unexpected sick day and was home when the school bus arrived. Through her kitchen window, she watched Carlos get off the bus. But instead of coming straight home, he sat on the curb, his small shoulders shaking. She rushed outside. "Carlos, what's wrong?" He looked up with tear-streaked cheeks. "Mama, I don't want to be bad." "Bad? Baby, what are you talking about?" Mr. Ryan said. "He said if I tell anyone about our special games, it means I'm bad and you won't love me anymore." Maya's blood turned to ice. The world seemed to tilt on its axis as the horrible truth crashed over her. That night, after Carlos finally fell asleep, Maya sat at her kitchen table, her hands shaking as she processed what her son had revealed. Ryan had been grooming him for months, using their family friendship as cover. The help with yard work had been opportunities to get Carlos alone. The casual invitations for Carlos to help with projects in Ryan's garage had been something far more sinister. Maya's first instinct was to call the police immediately. But as she reached for her phone, doubts crept in. Ryan was well respected in the community, had a clean reputation and a wife who adored him. Would anyone believe Carlos? Would it destroy Jessica's life too? She spent the next week in agony, watching her son flinch every time Ryan appeared in their yard, seeing Jessica wave cheerfully from her window, completely oblivious to the monster she was married to. Maya knew she had to be smart about this. She needed evidence, documentation, something that would ensure Ryan couldn't hurt Carlos or any other child ever again. She started documenting everything. Times when Ryan had been alone with Carlos, unusual behavior patterns, anything that could establish a timeline. She scheduled an appointment with a child psychologist who specialized in trauma, making sure Carlos would have professional support. But Maya also knew that sometimes the system failed children. Sometimes predators walked free because of technicalities, lack of evidence, or skilled lawyers. She wasn't going to let that happen. Maya began her own investigation. Late at night while Carlos slept, she researched everything she could find about Ryan Chin. Property records, employment history, social media presence, any digital footprint that might reveal the truth about who he really was. What she found made her stomach turn. Ryan had lived in 4 different states over the past 10 years, always moving after a few years. In each location, there were gaps in his employment history that coincided with what appeared to be hasty relocations. More disturbing were the social media accounts. While his main profiles showed the perfect family man image, Maya found older accounts under slight name variations. Photos that made her skin crawl. Always featuring children in the background, always with captions that seemed innocent but felt predatory when viewed through her new lens of understanding. But the smoking gun came when Maya discovered Ryan's laptop password. She'd noticed that Ryan always used the same coffee shop downtown for his remote work sessions. The same table, same routine, same time every Thursday morning. Maya started going there on her days off, observing from a distance. She watched him type his password, memorizing the pattern of his fingers on the keyboard. It took 3 weeks of careful observation, but she finally cracked it. Lily 2014, his daughter's name and birth year. The irony was sickening. Maya knew she needed access to that laptop. She waited for the perfect opportunity. A weekend when Jessica mentioned they'd be visiting Ryan's parents 3 hours away. Using her tea to water Jessica's plants while they were gone, Maya let herself into their house. Her heart pounded as she booted up Ryan's laptop in his home office. What she found was worse than she'd imagined. Hundreds of photos and videos of neighborhood children, taken without their knowledge. Screenshots of social media posts featuring local kids. Most damning of all, a folder labeled C, that contained photos of her own son. Maya's hands shook as she copied everything onto a flash drive. But she also did something else. She installed monitoring software that would track every keystroke, every website visit, every file access. If Ryan tried to delete evidence, she'd know. If he tried to approach other children, she'd have documentation. Then she planted the seeds of Ryan's destruction. Maya had learned from her research that Ryan's previous relocations had all been connected to jobs at tech companies. Each time he'd been fired for performance issues. But Maya suspected there was more to the story. She reached out to former colleagues through LinkedIn, crafting carefully worded messages that hinted at concerns without making accusations. Slowly a pattern emerged. Complaints about Ryan's behavior around children at company family events. Inappropriate comments. Always dismissed as misunderstandings, but documented in HR files. Maya compiled everything into a comprehensive dossier. Photos, chat logs, employment records, witness testimonials from his previous locations, and most importantly, the evidence from his own computer. But Maya wasn't finished. She knew that simply sending this to police might not be enough. Men like Ryan were skilled manipulators who could explain away almost anything. She needed to destroy his ability to manipulate. Maya created anonymous social media accounts and began systematically exposing Ryan's history across multiple platforms. She sent detailed packets to his current employer, his daughter's school, and every parent in their neighborhood. She ensured that local news stations received copies of all evidence. Most importantly, she contacted the victims from Ryan's previous locations, now adults who had never spoken up as children. Armed with Maya's evidence, several found the courage to file police reports about decades-old abuse. The plan worked flawlessly. Within 48 hours, Ryan's entire life imploded. He was fired from his job, arrested on multiple charges, and faced a tsunami of civil lawsuits. The local news coverage was relentless, detailing his predatory pattern across multiple states. Jessica was devastated. The woman who had become Maya's closest friend was now shattered, struggling to reconcile the man she'd loved with the monster he'd always been. "I didn't know," Jessica sobbed when she came to Maya's door the day after Ryan's arrest. "I swear I never suspected anything. How could I have lived with him for 10 years and not known?" Maya held her neighbor as she cried, feeling the weight of their destroyed friendship. She'd saved Carlos and countless other children, but the collateral damage was heartbreaking. You couldn't have known, Maya said quietly. People like Ryan are experts at hiding who they really are. Jessica looked up with red-rimmed eyes. Carlos. Did Ryan hurt Carlos? Maya nodded, her own tears falling. I'm so sorry, Jessica. I wanted to tell you, but I had to protect my son first. You did the right thing, Jessica whispered. I'm grateful Carlos had you to protect him. I'm grateful you stopped Ryan before. She couldn't finish the sentence. The legal proceedings took 18 months. Ryan was ultimately sentenced to 25 years in federal prison, with charges filed in 3 states. The FBI investigation revealed dozens of victims spanning 2 decades. Maya and Carlos entered therapy, working through the trauma together. Slowly, her bright, energetic boy began to heal. He started playing outside again, made new friends, and gradually regained the childhood innocence that Ryan had tried to steal. Jessica moved away with Lily 6 months after Ryan's conviction. Before she left, she came to say goodbye. I need you to know, she said, standing in Maya's doorway, what you did took incredible courage. You could have just called police and hoped for the best. Instead, you made sure he could never hurt anyone again. Maya shook her head. I did what any mother would do. No, Jessica replied firmly. Most people would have hoped someone else would handle it. You became someone else's hero, even when it meant losing a friend. As Jessica's moving truck pulled away, Maya felt a complex mixture of sadness and pride. Their friendship had been built on a lie, Ryan's carefully constructed facade, but the woman who just said goodbye was someone Maya genuinely respected. 2 years later, Maya received a letter from Jessica. She'd remarried, moved to Oregon, and was working as a victim advocate for children. Lily was thriving in her new school and had no contact with her biological father. The letter ended with words that brought tears to Maya's eyes. Thank you for teaching me that sometimes, destroying someone's world is the only way to save it. Ryan stole pieces of so many childhoods, but because of your courage he'll never steal another one. Carlos is lucky to have a mother who chose his safety over her own comfort. I hope someday I can be half as brave as you were. Maya folded the letter carefully and tucked it into her memory box, next to Carlos's first-grade art projects and his Little League medals. That evening, as she watched Carlos play soccer in their backyard with his new friends, Maya reflected on the price of protection. She'd lost a friend, shattered a family, and turned their perfect neighborhood upside down. But her son was safe. Other children were safe. And sometimes Maya realized that's worth everything else. The perfect neighborhood had been an illusion, built on secrets and lies. But the imperfect one they'd created afterward, where parents watched out for each other's children, where difficult conversations happened before they became tragedies, where protection mattered more than appearances, was something real. And that was better than perfect any day. Click the like or subscribe button for amazing update.